Do you really think your brain is under your control? Think carefully before you answer. Because in the next few moments, you're about to discover something about your own mind that most people never notice. Let's challenge the brain and find out. Try to predict your very next thought. Not the one after that. Not the thought you choose. The next one that naturally appears. You can't. Strange, isn't it? Your own mind produces thoughts before you even know they're coming. So here's a disturbing question. If you can't predict your next thought, who is really in control? Now let's make it even harder. For the next 10 seconds, empty your mind. No words. No memories. No images. Nothing. Ready? Go. What happened? Maybe you started counting the seconds. Maybe you imagined complete darkness. Maybe you kept wondering whether you were doing it correctly. Maybe you simply waited for the 10 seconds to end. But here's the interesting part. Every single one of those was already a thought. You weren't thinking about nothing. You were thinking about not thinking. And those are two completely different things. For centuries, philosophers and meditation practitioners have challenged people with this simple exercise. Not because they believed you could completely silence your mind, but because they wanted you to discover something much more important. You are not the creator of every thought that enters your mind. You are the one who notices it. And that realization changes everything. Because if thoughts simply appear, why do we treat every single one as the truth? Think about your own day. A random thought appears. What if I fail? Suddenly your body becomes anxious. Another thought appears. They probably don't like me. Now your confidence disappears. Another thought whispers, I'm not good enough. And without questioning it, you believe it. Isn't that strange? A thought appears from somewhere you can't even predict. And within seconds it becomes your reality. Imagine if your phone randomly displayed messages from strangers all day long. Some encouraging. Some ridiculous. Some completely false. Would you believe every notification? Of course not. Then why do you believe every notification your own mind sends you? Nobody taught us to question our thoughts. We were taught to react to them. And after years of reacting, reaction becomes automatic. That is why so many people feel mentally exhausted. Not because they think too much. Because they obey too much. Here's something fascinating about the human brain. Your brain has one primary job. Keep you alive. Not happy. Not confident. Not peaceful. Alive. Which means it constantly searches for danger. Thousands of years ago, that danger might have been an arrow coming from the enemy's bow. Today, it's an unread email. A comment on social media. An awkward conversation. A delayed reply. The brain doesn't always know the difference. It simply detects uncertainty. And prepares you for survival. Your heart beats faster. Your muscles tense. Your attention narrows. The ancient survival system is still running. Even though the battlefield has changed. So the question isn't, why does my brain think this way? The better question is, do I have to obey it? And this is where everything changes. Because despite what it feels like, your brain is not your enemy. It's simply following old programming. The problem begins when you confuse automatic thoughts with conscious decisions. Those are not the same thing. Here's a simple example. Have you ever driven somewhere familiar, only to realize you barely remember the journey? Your brain handled the entire route automatically. Thinking wasn't required. The mind works the same way emotionally. Someone criticizes you. The brain immediately produces a familiar thought. I'm being attacked. Someone succeeds. The brain produces another. I'm falling behind. Someone doesn't reply. There must be something wrong. Automatic. Fast. Effortless. But automatic doesn't mean accurate. Here's the strange part that most people never discover. Between the thoughts and your reaction, there is a space. It's incredibly small. Most people never notice it. But it's there. And inside that tiny space, lies every bit of freedom you will ever have. Because the first thought is rarely your choice. The second one is. The first emotion may arrive without permission. The response never has to. That tiny pause is where strong minds are built. Not by eliminating thoughts. Not by becoming emotionless. But by refusing to surrender to the very first story the brain tells. And once you learn to recognize that space, something remarkable begins to happen. For the first time in your life, you stop asking, "How do I stop thinking?" And you begin asking a much better question. What deserves my attention? That question changes the game completely. Because attention is the steering wheel of the mind. Where it goes, your brain follows. And once you understand how to direct it, you'll realize you've been trying to control the wrong thing all along. So, if you can't stop thoughts from appearing, what can you control? More than you think. You may not choose the first thought, but you absolutely choose which thought gets your attention. And attention is like sunlight. Whatever you shine it on, grows. Think about someone learning to play the piano. The first few days feel impossible. Their fingers move slowly. They make mistakes. Nothing feels natural. But after enough repetition, the brain begins building new pathways. Eventually, the same song can be played without conscious effort. Your mind works exactly the same way. Every day, your brain is practicing something. If you spend hours comparing yourself to other people, your brain becomes better at comparison. If you constantly expect the worst, your brain becomes an expert at finding problems. If you replay old mistakes every night, your brain learns that regret deserves your attention. Here's the disturbing fact. You don't become what you want. You become what you repeatedly practice. Which means the real concern isn't, "What am I thinking?" It's, "What am I training?" This is why mentally resilient people don't have better brains. They have better mental habits. Now let's try one more experiment. Close your eyes for a moment. Think about the front door of the house where you grew up, or the oldest home you can remember. Notice its color, the handle, the texture. Can you picture it? Maybe even the smell, or the sound it made when it opened. Amazing, isn't it? Just a few seconds ago, none of that was in your awareness. Yet the moment your attention moved there, your brain reconstructed an entire memory. That means your mind isn't empty. It is incredibly powerful. It simply responds to direction. Most people spend their entire lives letting their attention be directed by notifications, algorithms, headlines, other people's opinions, and random thoughts. Then they wonder why their mind feels scattered. A distracted mind is rarely a weak mind. It's an untrained one. For a few minutes every day, practice doing the opposite. Sit in silence. Not to stop thinking, to observe thinking. When a thought appears, don't chase it. Simply notice it. Planning, memory, fear, judgment, future, past. Label it. Then let it go. Another one will come. Notice that one too. At first, it will feel impossible. Your mind will wander every few seconds. That's normal. Every time you gently bring your attention back, you're doing something remarkable. You're strengthening the part of your mind that chooses, instead of reacting. And just like a muscle, it grows stronger through repetition. One day, someone will criticize you. The thought will appear, "I'm not good enough." But this time, you'll recognize it for what it is. Just a thought, not a command. One day, anxiety will arrive. Your heart will race. Your mind will predict disaster. But instead of believing the story, you'll simply watch it unfold. Like clouds passing across the sky. Present, then gone. That is real mental strength. Not the absence of fear. Not the absence of emotion. But the ability to remain steady while both are present. You don't need to win every battle inside your mind. You only need to stop fighting on every battlefield it creates. Because the greatest freedom isn't having complete control over your thoughts. The greatest freedom is realizing that you don't have to obey them. Train your attention. Protect your focus. Practice the pause between thought and reaction. Do it long enough, and something extraordinary begins to happen. The same situations that once controlled you no longer move you. Not because the world became quieter, but because your mind finally did. And that is how an unshakable mind is built.